Okay, guys, I just got back from Rise of the Beast, and I gotta say, that was an enjoyable film. That is a Transformers movie. That is something that I guarantee you that a majority of fans wanted in the film. When it comes to entertainment or media that I quite enjoy, the only things I care about is the plot and the characters. I'm gonna do my best to not spoil things in this video, but I do want to let you guys know that there were some things in the trailer that technically were spoiled already. So I will bring up some stuff that came from the trailer as opposed to a movie. And lastly, this review is solely based on my opinion and how I feel about the film. My opinion may change throughout the years, but I don't want to be going through like a blind Transformers fan and say, oh, this film is 100 out of 10. Go again, see it as many times as you can. I'm just going to go through it based on my opinion, my experience, and how I feel about the film. Now, let me just get through the plot. Now, the plot of the film is just your standard, typical, get the MacGuffin before the bad guy does. We've seen this plenty amount of times in the Michael Bay Transformers films. For example, the Allspark, the Matrix of Leadership from Revenge of the Fallen, the Pillars from Dark of the Moon, the Seed from Age of Extinction, and the Staff of Merlin from that god-awful movie, The Last Night. I already knew about the MacGuffin before coming to this theater, and I didn't mind it that much. I hope that in the next Transformers movie that they decide to change things a little bit much with the plot and not use that same plot line again. Another thing about the film which I thought was typical was that every time when there's a final battle, the bad guys always have to have an army to fight the good guys, creating a whole CG battle. They did this with the protoforms, and now they're doing with the freezer guys. But other than that, the trailer technically spoiled everything. B dies, you already know he's coming back. Another thing to add is that something in the film felt weird. I don't know if it's just me, but I felt that something was missing within each segment of the film, as if they cut out some parts of the film. Perspective N makes good points about the film, about this film being cut.
It's impressive that they came out the other side with something so watchable, because they cut this thing to the bone. Let's start off with all the stuff that we know was cut for a fact. There was going to be an opening sequence where Optimus was going to fight and kill Transit. This was probably also going to have some bearing on as to why Optimus feels it's so urgent to get back to Cybertron. That's all gone now. We know that Wheeljack and RC were supposedly going to be in a relationship with some banter and sexual tension. There's not even a hint of that left in the finalized movie. We know that there were going to be extended fight sequences in Cusco, Peru, where the Autobots battled it out with the Terrorcons in vehicle mode. So those practical effects shots we saw never got used now. We can infer that there was probably going to be a scene where the Terrorcons chose alt modes, and one that explains why they would do so when they clearly should not fear humans, considering that they didn't fear the far more capable Maximals at the start of the movie. There was also probably going to be a scene where it showed how the Terrorcons got to Earth, considering the fact that apparently Unicron can't, so why can they?
And now I want to get into characters. Let me just get this out of the way and hopefully it doesn't take too long. Now before getting into it, despite me growing with the Babers, I'm a guy that loves accuracy, as in capturing the look and the soul of the character from the source material. Now don't get it twisted, that doesn't mean that I don't like the Babers, nor do I don't like the designs from the Babers. Well, except from Age of Extinction. I love the Babers designs, but I'd rather the G1 designs than the Babers. But I also understand that this is Transformers we're talking about, where multiple characters, except for Optimus, looking completely different than the source material. So it's not a big issue for me when it comes to the characters looking more G1 than it technically should have already been. The Autobots in this film are really good. They actually have personalities, and the film actually makes me want to care about them. I don't want to drag this topic out any further, but as a person who grew up with the Babers, this is something that was lacking in previous Babers movies, because when you're watching those films in particular, you hardly get any character development or character arcs. A majority of what the Autobots do in the Babers is mostly dialogue dumping, or they just stand around doing nothing. Now let's start off with Mirage. I really like Mirage's character, and I'm glad that we're focusing on a new Autobot besides Optimus and Bumblebee. When they said he's an anti-authority character, I only got a little bit of that from the first act, due to him complaining, saying that he doesn't like being stayed put, and him bantering with the Autobots. Mirage was gonna be one of those, I don't care, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. Or he's gonna be one of those kids in class that would be mad disrespectful to the teacher for no reason. But no, he actually came across as a guy who's trying to vibe with the humans, making pop culture references. It's like he's a blend between charismatic and slightly annoying to others. I'm still pissed that Mirage stole Jazz's alt mode though, but I didn't take it serious because this is Transformers. Plus it's an adaptation. They're not going to be 100% accurate when it comes to the source material. Now this is going to be very conflicted on my part because on one hand, I understand why people don't like this version of Optimus, but on the other hand, I understand why people like this version of Optimus. Now I've heard about this from other Transformers review channels and some casual movie review channels, and I thought they were exaggerating at first, but no, it actually is true. Optimus Prime in this film comes across as an asshole, and he mainly does it towards humans, acting passive-aggressive, saying, "Oh, we can't rely on humans. Oh, I knew we shouldn't trust the humans to get the key. Oh, the humans are just getting in our way." And I'm like, bro, calm down. But as the movie progresses, he starts to get his shit together. He's not as violent as the Bayhem Prime, and I'm okay with that. I'm just used to him. I said this before in my Should Optimus Prime Kill video. This is a different adaptation of Optimus. Michael Bay has his own version of Optimus Prime, and Stephen Caple Jr. has his version of Optimus Prime. I'm gonna open up a can of worms here with this character. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. I do not like this character being called Wheeljack. I would have been okay if he was called Pablo or Gizmo or something else. They literally could have used the Wheeljack design from the Bumblebee movie. I wouldn't care less if they changed the body. The head would have been enough. Another complaint I have with this is, why the fuck does a Transformer need glasses? Other than that, I was okay with his character despite my issues with him. I expected him to be a stereotypical nerd, but he's actually pretty much an alright character. I still wish that he could have done a little bit more though throughout the film. RC felt pretty decent in the film. She had way more respect in the Bayverse. She wasn't sidelined, although I wish she could have done more. Maybe have her help with Elena, or do some dynamic duo with Wheeljack and build some kind of relationship, not the love kind. And Bumblebee, he was just being Bumblebee as usual, kicking ass as always. Some other things that I noticed when watching this film is that the Autobots, Terracons, and Maximals felt like actual characters. They weren't doing dialogue dumping for the sake of dialogue dumping. Unfortunately, most of the Maximals, however, did get sidelined, like Rhinox and Cheetor. They honestly felt like background characters, which is a real disappointment because this film is called Rise of the Beast, and both Rhinox and Cheetor play a major role in the Beast Wars cartoon. This is a poor misuse of the Beast Wars characters. I believe that Cheetor had 2 lines, and I'm definitely certain that Rhinox didn't say a damn thing in this film. Which makes me wonder, why did they even give them voice actors in the first place? They honestly felt like Dinobots from Age of Extinction and The Last Knight, where they show up later in the film and they hardly do anything to contribute to the film. If you took them out of the film, I mean like Rhinox and Cheetor, I doubt anything except for the Mexican standoff will change at all. And during the final battle, when the Maximals transform, we hardly get to see what they look like in their robot form. I'm really surprised that Optimus Primal and Air-Razor managed to do more in the film, and I was really interested in Primal and Air-Razor's character, because they contribute throughout the whole second act. Okay, let me start off with the humans and get this out of the way real quick. They were pretty okay. They were way more tolerable than the Bayverse humans. They weren't being annoying, making cringy jokes, and doing cringy stuff for the sake of being cringy, or saying random shit out of nowhere. They actually had their own personalities, character arcs, and goals and motivations. They do contribute to the film very well than I expected. They didn't take too much screen time as much as the Bayverse likes to when it comes to the humans in those previous films. Although there were some parts in the film where I was like, okay, I don't care about the humans anymore. Just get me to the robots. That's all I care about. Now, Scourge is a real menace. I would say he's up there with Sentinel Prime and Lockdown, because He, Nightbird, and Battletrap were putting the wet work on Optimus Prime and the Autobots. And here's where I get to the negative criticism of the film. Not all films are perfect, especially in Transformers films. Straight away with the music, I didn't like that this film had rap and hip-hop. I don't know, it just doesn't resonate with me. I know the first act was in Brooklyn and whatnot, but I didn't like it to begin with. I wasn't a fan of it in the first trailer nor the second trailer. I'm just being real with you guys. I don't listen to those types of music genres. I did appreciate at them bringing other scores from the previous Bay films, like Arrival on Earth and that one soundtrack from The Last Night. What would have been more preferable, and this is just my opinion, that they made a modern version of the Beast Wars theme or a Peruvian version of the Beast Wars theme. Okay, another thing to criticize this film for is that it's just that something, when it comes to death in media, it makes it fairly predictable and lackluster, playing with our emotions, and the same thing happens here in Rise of the Beast. How could I even explain this? It's like, when a character or characters die, you think, oh no, this character is dead. But if you're the kind of person that reads comics or seen kinds of trends like this happen in a whole bunch of stuff in TV or movies, they typically come back making it pointless. Like, oh no, Ratchet is dead. A few moments later, Ratchet's like, I'm okay. And let's be real here, who honestly thought that Bumblebee was gonna die? I wouldn't be surprised that if Bumblebee dies again in the third movie. Okay, at this moment, these are going to be slight nitpicks of the film, and I might get into spoiler territories. So, I'll put a skip here just in case, and wait for a few seconds so you guys can skip ahead. You gone? Good, because I'm about to dive into spoilers. Now, tell me if I'm crazy here, but the Terracon's death fell out of nowhere. Correct me if I'm wrong, but during the first encounter with the Autobots, the Terracons were wrecking the Autobots with ease, because of dark energy bestowed on by Unicron. But during the final battle, the Autobots pulled the Uno reverse card and annihilated the Terracons with ease, except for Scourge. For example, Battletrap said, give me a real fight, while swinging around his mace on a chain trying to be like Megatron. And when Primal caught it, he's like, you want to fight? I bet. And immediately rips his arm off, and then Prime sliced Battletrap's leg off, and then Primal steals Prime's kill by bashing Battletrap's head in with his own mace. And Nightbird had a weird death while fighting Bumblebee in mid-air. Bumblebee was using her as a shield to block Scourge's firepower, and then when the firing ceased, Bumblebee took Nightbird's sword, I think, and then stabbed her in the chest, and automatically it blew her up. It kind of felt anticlimactic. It would have been better, in my opinion, if she fought RC instead, or if she survived the fight, and then she picked a fight with RC. And for some reason, this movie talked about time travel and they never brought up again. And also, another point that I really disliked in this movie is that there was a point in the film where Airazor gets infected with some kind of virus by Scourge, and for some reason, Airazor nor Elena brought this attention to the Autobots and Maximals. And when Airazor turned, that literally annoyed me because it reminded me of a generic zombie movie where the character gets infected and they don't say shit. She could have easily made a difference if she simply says something like, hey guys, I believe Scourge infected me with some kind of virus. Is there a cure for this by any chance? There was also plot conveniences in this film, like for example, there's like a building structure where Scourge made, and then for some reason, in order to get the MacGuffin, which is also guarded by the bad guys, oh look, there's these small pathways that only humans can fit in. Or when Primal talked about a missing code and then Elena conveniently has the missing code in order to stop the bad guys' plan. Especially when Mirage gave Noah that gauntlet thing that's a flashlight and also a blaster. Like, where were you keeping that thing, Mirage? And lastly, with Airazor coming out of nowhere to save Autobots while the Autobots were getting their ass kicked by the Terracons. And not to be that person that's going on a little rant here, but they could have brought Rat Trap in this film, considering that this film was all about Brooklyn represent in the movie. And Rat Trap has a Brooklyn accent.
Tangler's worked pretty good on old Dino Butt. Maybe Pred's aren't as lethal as they think.
They even insinuate that when Air Razor landed on Earth, other Maximals were with her. So they could have had him at the first part of the film tagging along with Air Razor. Oh, and I forgot to mention the end credits. Please, just don't. I understand that G.I. Joe and Transformers has crossed over plenty of times, but why do we need to go back to the Bayverse? One of the things that people hated about the Michael Bay Transformers films is that the humans, including the military, take way too much screen time than the Transformers themselves. We don't care about the humans. All we care about is the Transformers. Who honestly cares about G.I. Joe anymore? And didn't they make a movie about Snake Eyes and it flopped? This probably would have worked in a Bayverse considering that Michael Bay has a thing for the military, but personally I think it's like unnecessary, and even so, a little bit too early. Transformers movies are starting to get good ever since Bumblebee. Why ruin it by adding another element that turns off fans? Other than that, my overall review of this film is that it's an okay Transformers film. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just somewhere in the middle. As a film itself compared to the other Transformers films, it's up there with Bumblebee, Transformers 2007, and Dark of the Moon. If I had to rate this movie, it would be a 7 out of 10. This is a good Transformers movie despite its flaws. I'm liking this new direction of where the Transformers is going. The Bayverse will forever be a part of my childhood, but after last night, I think it's time to move on to a new direction that is not a complete mess. I know there will be hardcore Bayverse fans that will be screaming their heads off about the cliffhanger at the end of the last night, but some of us want a Transformers movie that is fresh and something that everyone can enjoy. Not just mindless, high-octane action with weird humor, large human screen time, and very little character development from the Transformers. Some of us would like stories that mean something and characters that we actually care about besides their looks. I understand the Bayverse is what made Transformers more popular than it was at its time, but some of us need a breather from all the bayhem. And there we have it. Thank you guys for listening to my review because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And I love expressing my opinions and thoughts on Rise of the Beast, but I do want to know your thoughts on the movie. Feel free to comment below. What were the things that you liked and things that you didn't like about Rise of the Beast? I'd really like to know on your perspective on this film and where Hasbro is taking this rebooted continuity. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Achimi1010, and until the next one, stay groovy, y'all.
Give the video a like, give the video a shout out, above all, give the channel a groovy subscriber.